Hello, chefs. Good evening, good afternoon. We are here back again. I'm Noreen, the Phoenix Warrior Chef, here with the Dragon Warrior Chef, German Lam, and Isaiah, the Young Jedi Chef. And today we will be your hosts for our podcast. You are listening to a unique podcast where we will discuss tough yet real topics that need to be heard in the industry. In this podcast, you will hear the truth, real, raw, and unfiltered. Today, we have the honor of having Jeff Abellard with us to talk about starting and maintaining a successful business. Jeff is currently the owner and general manager of Bistro 781 in Waltham, Massachusetts. I'm excited to get started and jump right in. So, without further ado, I will let our star and guest, Jeff Abellard, introduce himself. Jeff, welcome.
Thank you. I don't know about star, but we'll go with it. I am Jeff Abellard. I am the owner and operator of Bistro 781 in Waltham, Mass, and Bistro 603 in Nashua, New Hampshire. I've been in the business now, I think, wow, what is it? 20 years about. So it's been a long time.
Wonderful. Thank you for a nice little introduction there. The hospitality industry is one of the most versatile, exciting, and rewarding industries that you can be a part of. One of my favorite things about the food industry is the ability and flexibility to explore many different types of jobs, including management and ownership. Creating your brand, assembling a team, and bringing a vision to life can be an interesting journey with many potential rewards. Entrepreneurship is a large part of the hospitality industry, and many dream of owning their own business one day. Now, while the idea sounds great, there is a lot that happens in the background when building and running a successful business. So, to start us off, what are the three key ingredients you would say one needs to have before venturing to start a business?
I would say a vision, um, a plan, and tunnel vision. And I'll explain that last one a little bit more. When starting a business, especially a restaurant business, we all hear about the failures and what happens in restaurants and success rate, so on and so forth. A lot of people are going to tell you not to do it. It's not worth it. It's a bad thing to do, and that happens with a lot of businesses or going on your own. So you get steered in a lot of different directions. You get a lot of opinions. So being able to kind of get through those and not let them affect you or what your plan and vision would be is big.
Awesome. Vision. We've talked about that on the podcast before, and it's really important to have like your vision really set. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Well,
Chef
that
Lamb, sorry,
and
go ahead.
just because having a vision allows you to, for example, speak to investors.
Mhm.
When you do get a staff together, being able to relay that to a staff. So a lot of people get visions in their head, but they can't really speak to them or put them out there. They have to almost become tangible. Not that the vision is tangible, but you have to kind of be able to see it, touch it, feel it, know it, say it, and live it.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, not just having it, but really embracing it.
Right.
Great. Chef Lamb, Isaiah, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, having the vision, I agree with you, Jeff, is one of the most important and vital parts to really doing anything in life, and especially owning your own business. And a quote that I actually came up with, and that I keep in my mind to this day, and have on I put it on my apron, I put it on my wall. It's actually right behind me. Is it all starts with a vision that turns into a burning passion that leaves behind a legacy for everyone to remember. So it starts off with that vision, and then that becomes something that you dedicate your days, your nights, your whole life to. And then it becomes something that, you leave behind as a legacy for other people, to kind of remember you by. And having that vision, and like you said, Jeff, the tunnel vision to stay disciplined, to stay committed, to stay when times get tough, not to give up is super important. And that all starts with having something that you believe in and something that you won't let go of. And I think that's one of the most important parts to starting a business, is having that motivation behind it. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe in what you could do, if you don't believe in your vision, then you have nothing. You can't convince other people to believe in it if you don't believe in it yourself. So I think that's one of the key steps, and part of that is having mentors that are there to guide you along the way. And and help you out, because it's hard to do things by yourself. So if you have the vision and you have mentors, I think it could be very easy to become successful.
I think part of that what jumps out at me or resonates with me is the last part of that quote where you said a legacy for people to remember you by. I
Mhm.
think one of the biggest things I learned when I started and through failures and other things was that it's really about me. When I first opened the restaurant, our menu was vastly different, and part of that was because I was trying to please everybody. Right, my vision was to make everybody happy or try that. And it really didn't start being successful until I was like, this is what I want to do for me. So if I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail my way, and it's about me. And if that ends up working, then by default, success and the legacy happens or is made.
Yeah, exactly. I think when you're your authentic self and you do things like you said according to your vision, people like that. You know, people don't like people that are the same as others, but they like people that are unique and you know in their own way and doing what they see. So I think I love what you said there, Jeff. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I say this all the time. You are the captain of your ship. You pick the direction, you have the map, you have the compass, and your team is just there to help you get to the destination. But you pick the destination and you pick the journey. So I love that.
My staff hates it a lot of times, but I'll walk in the restaurant and I'll say, "This is my restaurant. Like the vibe isn't right, the music isn't loud enough, or the lights aren't dim enough." But it's and I'll say, "This doesn't feel like a Jeff restaurant," and they know what I mean by that, and they'll fix it. But yeah,
Mhm.
That's awesome. That means your brand and your vision are really present, and that's super important.
it is.
Yes. Chef Lamb, what's your spin?
Well, you know what, the hospitality, it's entertainment stage. And especially right now where we are and, looking back at, 50 years from now and moving forward, the game has changed a lot. And, everything that Jeff just mentioned, I would look at it is, well, you have to have openness, and openness meaning it's a roller coaster. A lot of things just happen. And when it happens, you want to make sure that you have your seatbelt on, that you're not gonna jump out of the roller coaster and you're flying because some issue, whether it's employee or vendor, or better yet investors. The thing is, it's a beautiful industry, but also you got to think about, okay, what do you want to share with your community? People that comes in here, besides food, besides beverage, like Jeff said, the environment, culture. Well, that takes a lot of failures. Because failures can tell you, okay, now you go, oh, I got it. Because you really want to distinguish yourself from the community, and where people go, wow, you know what? I want to work with Jeff. Why? Because he has something that, I want to learn. And that's the beauty of our industry. It's like you could learn as you go. It's not something that you write a manual, but it's like you learn as you go, because, whoever your customer is, wherever your location is, you just got to think outside the box.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of opportunity for creativity in this industry. So thinking outside the box really keeps you ahead and keeps you on par with the moving, the fast move pace of the industry. But thank you for those key points. Those are just, I'm sure, the tip of the iceberg when building a business. Those three things. Something important to consider is who is on your team, especially in the first few years in a new operation. I saw, Jeff, that you started your first restaurant, the New Landing, with former sports rival. So I thought it was interesting how you guys ended up being partners after many years of competition. So I wanted to touch base on how do you find partners when you start a business, and what is important to consider when assembling your main starting team or your executive team?
It's really an ongoing process. I mean, like I said, I'm 20 years in. It's still ongoing. I think in terms of, I think partnership is really bred from necessity. So if what you're lacking or what you need, someone else can bring to the table, then obviously that is a formidable partnership or something that kind of forms. I think in building your team, as you guys know, in this industry, turnover is insane, right? So, and again, when I open a new restaurant, I say to the people, look to your left and look to your right. In 3 months, the person next to you won't be here.
Mm.
And your manager probably won't be here. As you go, and I think Chef Lam said failures, people fail as well in their jobs or in expectations. So as you go and people aren't the right fit, they go until you find that right fit. Even in my restaurants now, I call my staff and like it's almost like a college or high school class, right? Like they last 2-3 years if it's a good class, they're getting for 4 years. But after that, people start to kind of leave and move on. And again, it's also a restaurant. You want your bartender to do something bigger and better or move on or do something else in life. So it's not always a bad thing, but it's always evolving and changing. So that's what I would say in terms of building your team. But with that said, I am nothing without my team. They do a lot for me and they represent the place. And again, when I open a restaurant, my first speech is my job is to get people in here. Your job is to make them come back. Right. So like when we open, I promise you, I'll fill the restaurant. If people aren't coming back, that's not on me. It's a reflection more of you. So that's kind of how I would put that.
I like that. I like it's my job to bring them in, but your job to bring them back. I never thought of it that way, but that's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Right.
And a big trial and error process to find who fits, not just with you, but with each other, it sounds like.
Mostly with me. A lot is with me because I'm a very hands-on owner, so we're dealing with it all the time. So I'll make jokes as like somebody wants to become a manager, and I'll say, well, be careful what you want because you have to deal with me a lot more than you do now, right? Like it's a daily, constant conversation and back and forth, and this is what's going on. Or my staff, I'm an old school dude, so a lot of the times my first answer to everything is no. And that's not a good characteristic or a trait. I'm not patting myself on the back for that, but my staff knows to like give me a little bit of time to actually let it marinate, and then I'll come back and be like, you know what, that's not so bad. Maybe we can do that, but it just takes time. I like any relationship. It's there we go. It's a relationship. So like any relationship, it takes time, and not all relationships work. Not all of them are good for each other. Good together. So it's the same kind of deal with building out your staff and executive team.
Okay. Yeah, it all comes down to relationships and fostering, what positivity you can bring out of it to really drive your business.
Right.
Isaiah, Chef Lam, what are your thoughts building a team?
Yeah, definitely. I gotta agree with Chef Jeff on it's definitely a continuous process, I believe. Because like Chef Jeff said, people initially they might be interested in the opportunity. It might be a good fit initially, but things happen and it might go a different way than they expected. So it's kind of that on and off, and you can't expect them to be there forever. People will move on, and the eventual goal is for them to get promoted and even better, maybe move up in your company. So I think the first step is the hiring process, making sure that when you hire them, they're just there for a paycheck, but they're there because they want to be there. They've done some research on your restaurant, on your business. It shows that they're interested in actually working for you and working for your company. And but like we said before, believing in your vision. Because I believe if you have people that work for you that believe in the same vision that you believe in, it'll be a lot easier, and they'll be willing to work harder for you and offer ideas and really be motivated to be there. So I think those are the key things is during the hiring process, what is the reason you want to work for me? That's the biggest thing, what do you think you can learn here and how can you grow?
That goes back to the vision thing.
Yeah.
Being able to say it to your staff. I think most people will follow a vision if you can articulate it, if you have it, if you can say it. If you just throw people kind of in and say it's kind of work, then there's no structure or guideline to really follow, and that's where people kind of fall off. But if you do have a vision that, like I said, can be talked about and articulated, people know what it is in the Waltham. I still live there, so it was really the hometown kid opening up a restaurant, and I wanted to be about community. and we push that as much as we can. You walk into the restaurant, our wallpaper is pictures of city events that happened 15, 20, 30, 60 years ago. Parents walk in and see the kids from Little League up on the wall, or pictures of Bentley University now, or Brandeis, or the Waltham Common. So there, it's all about community, and I've done that going forward and made sure it's about that. Whether it's donating to charities, being involved with the boys club, local things, but that's big to me. And having even price points, right? So I'm from Waltham. There are all levels of people there, whether you're middle class, below the poverty line, whatever it may be. I want somebody to be able to come in there and eat. So you can get something on my menu for $10, or if you want to spend $50, you can do that too. We want people to be able to, of all walks of life, to be able to come in there and feel at home and feel like they're part of the community.
Yeah, I love that.
That's awesome. Really fostering the community and caring about it and taking action to be a part of it. Chef Lam, what's your spin?
Well, you mentioned partners. I would say, think about Jeff, right? You're a leader, right? Because now when you're on a team, everybody has their niche. Like, what do they bring? What are you going to take ownership of? And because from there, you learn with each other, right? And to me, there are three things in our industry, right? First thing is respect. From the front, from the back to our guests, sanitation. Who doesn't want to go into a establishment and suddenly you look at it, it's like, wow, I mean, it's so bright because everything is so polished and clean, and the last one is safety, right? Safety meaning an environment, culture, and these three things really simplify people, right? Because that means we have the same core values. We don't need to kind of like break down what these three things I just mentioned to you, right? This is something that, I created, that I go, okay, this is a manager style that you communicate, and there is no gray area. It's either this or no, right? Sanitation. Guess what? If everything is clean, that means we know that the guest, it's going to be happy and there's not going to be a complaint. Respect, because respecting the ingredients, but then respecting the hardware, meaning everything that, just say, Jeff buys, chairs, glass, everything, really, be gentle with it, so to me, it's another approach, like right now, that we use words that they get it. Then, they move on, and that's, to me, it's really understanding that, when you see something on a plate and, oh, there's a piece of hair on the plate. You saw it, I saw it, but nobody said anything. You know what I mean? So it's something really to say, hey, you know what? We're family, and for us to be successful, we need all eyes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes it's not just about who you surround yourself with, but really the direction and the vision, like we've been talking about, to have that same goal and work together to meet it. And a good team can bring out good things in you, can help balance strengths and weaknesses for everyone. And while they can help you guide your business in the right direction, our experiences really give us the ability to pick the direction and have that vision and ability to navigate difficult situations. So now I'd like to get a little bit more personal, and I know this is always Isaiah's favorite portion, story time. So I'd like to ask you, Jeff, what is a memory or experience that you keep with you today that still motivates you, or maybe has taught you one of the most important lessons around operating a business?
It's not the best memory, but really, it's honestly, it's failure. When you fail, it teaches you, but it's there's also a fear of failure again. It's so I lost my first restaurant, or we failed, whatever you want to call it, but I think after doing that and coming back and doing it for a second time and now a third time, you learn things, but there's always a fear of failure. So people will make jokes that when you come to my house, like there's still boxes packed or maybe that's because I'm too lazy to unpack, but part of it is because there's a fear of failure, right? Like this could all end for me tomorrow. And I say that out loud, and that's true how I feel. It's just what this business is, and then also being an entrepreneur. You don't know what tomorrow holds. So I think failure was the biggest lesson for me. It's also gives me a fire. It makes me want to thrive.
Mm, I love that because everyone's going to experience failure at some point in their life. If they're striving for something, you're going to find moments where perhaps you didn't find success, you didn't win, it didn't go the way that you wanted. But it's really what we take out of that experience moving forward. Are we going to learn from it? Or are we going to let it destroy us?
Well,
That's something I,
if you don't fail, you're
sorry.
not trying hard enough, in my opinion. So failure has to come at some point in life for something. You're not trying hard enough. You're not reaching far enough. You need to push limits and fail, right? Even Chef Lam and I go to the gym. Part of working out is going to failure, right? Pushing yourself so you get to that point. So if you're not doing that, you're not trying hard enough.
I like that. Yeah, I think a lot of us we let fear drive us. And a decision I made years ago, and I'm still holding to myself today, is I don't let fear make decisions for me. Something to pay attention to, but it's not gonna dissuade me from striving, like you said. Because I really like that. If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. You're not jumping outside of your comfort zone. You're not taking that leap of faith and seeing where the boundaries are and how to push the boundaries. So I really like
I use a
that.
phrase so similar to that in work a lot of the times. Kitchens a lot of the times are known like a guest will ask a question and the answer is no. Can you split this? Can you substitute this? And the answer is always no. And my answer to my kitchen is we're not going to do something. We're not going to not do something because it's too hard. Like, that doesn't work for me, right? Because the answer isn't no because it's hard. Like just if we can do it, do it. I don't care if it's hard. So we take the easy way out a lot of times too.
I like that. Yeah. Isaiah, Chef Lam, what do you think? You have
Yeah,
any memories that
yeah.
really drive you?
I would say one of the biggest things that drives me is proving myself right. Because a lot of the times in my life in the past, people have said, "Oh, you can't do this. Oh, yeah, you're not able to do this. Oh, that's impossible. Oh, this, that other." Not really believing in me and kind of saying, being negative, being very, not positive. And in my head, I'm like, if somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna find a way to make it happen. And I think that's one of the biggest things, even with this bartending job that I currently have right now. Many people say, "Oh, you can't do that. Oh, this, that." But in my mind, I was like, "Okay, let me make it happen. Okay, let me find a way. Okay, even with this podcast, I would have never imagined having anything like this. And look at us today. We have 35 episodes. It's really just about proving yourself right and putting it in your mind. Okay, if they say I can't do it, let me make a way to make it happen and let me do it. So really, I think that's the biggest thing. And I like what you said, Jeff, about failure. You're going to fail along the way. Every single day of my life, I fail, but it's about learning from those failures and learning from those mistakes. And that's really how you grow. And if you're not challenging yourself, then there's no point. You can't get comfortable. And once you get comfortable, then it's dangerous. So I think it's important to always put yourself in uncomfortable positions and challenge yourself and really strive for the best. So I think that's the biggest thing that has motivated me and continues to motivate me is just proving myself right and proving myself, saying that I can do it and just making it happen. That's one of the biggest things that kind of motivates me. So yeah.
I like that. Haters are gonna hate. Do you?
The haters are gonna hate, but you gotta do you. And that's it.
Chef Lam or Jeff, if you have anything.
Well, I would say this, we have a few minutes before, the storytelling is going to, kind of end. I look back at it as the front and the back of the house. The front of the house, you could start off as a waiter. The next thing you know, you become a host, you become a manager. And the next thing you know, guess what? You're an owner. In the back of the house, you start off as a dishwasher prep cook. The next thing you know, you work the chain and you're the chef owner. And those two areas that I just mentioned, the beautiful thing is about mentorship. You know, I would say with failures, there's always someone that's going to say, you know what, this is the approach that, you know, it's going to be solid, you know, it's going to be foolproof, you know. And when it comes to people, I believe, you know, everybody has that, you know, owner, president, but we need to kind of like activate it from them. And that's the beauty that you know, that I still always remember about this journey here. So.
I love that. Yeah, mentorship is really important, and you know, I'm grateful to have a mentor, a couple mentors, because it really gives you a different perspective on what you're doing and helps you hone in your vision, which is kind of the phase I'm in now. So, in the last few minutes here, I would like to ask, now that you have all this experience, you've started multiple businesses, Jeff, I wanted to finish off with, what is one key thing a novice or a budding entrepreneur should do right now, today, to get them ready and closer to realizing their goal of opening their own business?
Say the one thing you should do or learn to do is become comfortable with being uncomfortable. If that makes sense. Because when you start, there are going to be a lot of uncomfortable situations that you're going to be in, and you need to navigate those and get through them and come out on the other side. So that would be my biggest piece of advice.
That's a good one. And hard. It's hard to do.
It's really hard to do, but
yeah,
like we talked about, you got to push yourself and put yourselves in a comfortable situations. I think Isaiah mentioned comfort. I think to most real entrepreneurs or true entrepreneurs, comfort is boring, which is why we're always trying to look for something else or do something else, because that really gets boring, and comfortable is actually uncomfortable in a weird way. So.
I like that. Isaiah, Chef Lam, one
Yeah,
piece of advice.
for sure. I think I love what Jeff said is become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because if you don't challenge yourself, if you don't put yourself in positions that are going to make you try something new, you're never going to grow, you know? So I think, and I would also say, don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to be the only one or the first one. Because there's plenty of times where I've been the youngest, I've been the only one, you know, but how can you stand out if you blend in? You know what I mean? So if you want to stand out, you can't be with the crowd all the time. Sometimes it's okay to be alone. Sometimes it's okay to do things on your own, but that's one of the best things I've ever done is go somewhere alone, you know, because there is where you meet people. And if I was with the crowd, I wouldn't have met the people I've met. But because I was alone, I was able to meet people, and many great things have come out of it. So I would say, don't be afraid of being alone.
It's a good one.
Things.
Yeah. Chef Lam, what's your one piece of advice? One thing, one action item.
Well, Jeff said it when we started the podcast. Gym, no pain, no gain, and think of it that you're going to meet some amazing people, and you're going to see things like, wow, I like that routine, I like that technique. And what do? You approach the you know, the person. Next thing you know, there's a connection. Now, well, what are you doing? You're sharing. So it's like storytelling, you know. So to me, because you know, I look at the gym as an entrepreneur, right? Because if you're bored, there's always someone that's going to say, nah, try it this way, you know. And that's the thing about, you know, the body, mind, spirit. It talks about how do you activate it, and are you willing to learn from others?
Yeah, willingness to learn. I found that for some people, once they get to a certain point in their career, they're like, okay, I know everything. I know what I'm doing. I don't need to learn anything anymore. And reminds me of quote from Einstein. I don't know if I remember it specifically, like correctly, but it was like the stopping of learning is where you start to die. So if you don't continue to learn, whether from each other, from failures, from a mentor, from a buddy at the gym, whatever it may be, you're creating your own stagnancy. And so I like that. Um, for me, it's what I said before. I don't let fear make decisions for me. So don't let fear become something dark that doesn't allow you to push yourself to go to the gym or to be alone or to be uncomfortable, because those are the things that are really going to push you into the next echelon of your life. So thank you guys so much for your stories, your advice. This call will not only impact the ones listening, but will also impact those that are connected to them. Here on this call, we have made history and have helped lead the way for our future. Thank you for listening, and see you all on the next call.